All right. Okay, it's time to show Mamu some love. He deserves a lot of love at this point. A lot.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, perfect fit, Mamu. We're gonna talk about him. Okay, I want to take a look at this press conference because we don't watch too many of them. Okay, we don't hear him speak too often. We usually go over the big names, right? The head honchos, the Wimbies, Pops of the world, the CP3s of the world. But I think it's important to give him a little bit of love. So before diving into this, just looking at his stats, man, he has been phenomenal. I should probably talk about him a little more, but he is definitely a perfect fit for Wimby, perfect fit for this team. And I've said this time and time again, it really does come down to just getting players that have high IQ and who can shoot the basketball. Now, obviously, we need some needs, right? We need a small forward. We need a point guard, which looks like we might have that with Steph Castle. And we need a backup center. We need someone who can play a little bit of defense at center and be a legitimate center at that regard. But I think that's like last thing that we need. I don't think you go into this upcoming draft like, oh, just try to grab it, and like you can wait a little bit. But overall, he's the type of player that you need, and I think that he's helped create a blueprint for what type of players work best with Wimby. But he has been on fire. He has been great. And a big part of it also comes down to Castle as well, because Castle and Mamu have had a really good and nice connection between the two. But you can see here his first game, 75%, 3 for 4, and then he was 3 for 6, 3 for 6. If he can keep this up and he can shoot around 40% from 3, we're looking at a legitimate threat. Because if the Spurs wanted to play a little bit of small ball, okay, because he's not very tall, okay, for a big, he's 6'9". I mean, he's perfect size for a power forward. But if they want to play some small ball, he can keep you above water if he's shooting like this, right? Like, yeah, maybe he won't be able to guard, super well. He's an okay defender. But at the end of the day, if he's scoring like this at this type of clip and he's that much of a threat, it's really going to make up for maybe some of the lack of defense that he has. But overall, and even his passing ability as well. Let me mention that. Last game, he had 5 assists. Passing ability, playmaking ability, just overall IQ. He can make up for it. He can make up for it. So it's a really nice sight to see. And I think players like this is what's making it even more urgent for me to say, please, I hope Zach Collins can shoot well this upcoming season. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Sandro, break it down, my boy. I can't hear a word. I didn't hear a word you said. Habidi oobla. Sorry. Eminem fan. 8 Mile.
Talented.
I still don't hear it. Can you guys hear it? I know you can hear it because it's coming up on your earphones. Hold on. Here we go. I can hear it now.
You and Julian are really on one this preseason, shooting the ball. Has that been kind of the case this summer? It looks like everything's looking good from that perspective.
Yeah, I think just me personally, kudos to Julian. He's my brother, and I'm so happy for him. He has been shooting the heck out of the ball, and for me too, it's been the main focus this summer.
By the way, Julian Champagny more than likely is going to start. I don't like it. I don't like it, but I also understand it, and I think that he'll be. The thing is, he's not a starting shooting guard. He's not a starting small forward. But this year, completely different situation with having Chris Paul and having Harrison Barnes. You can move him at the shooting guard position, and it'll be totally fine, I think, until Devin Vassell comes back. I was hoping that Steph Castle can be someone that, starts, but more than likely he'll be coming off the bench, and I think the Spurs will end with him in the lineup in the games. I have a hard time seeing how clutch he's been, that he doesn't earn that he's able to close out games.
Just to be that knockdown shooter, have that confidence to take the shot, be a mismatch a lot of times if I'm at the 5, or stretch out if I'm at the 4, just be all that guy who can knock down the shot. And I talked to the coaching staff, I talked to Vic, I talked to you know, a lot of guys, and they were like, yeah, you got to be a consistent shooter who comes in there and kind of brings us that stretch out formula. So
Yep, because that's what you got to make up for it. You got to make up for it. I mean, his defense isn't bad. He's not a bad defender, but you know, he's not going to be able to hold the best of them. So yeah, you gotta put that in the rack, man.
you know, I'm in the gym every night, coming in twice a day. At night I come in and I make sure like I make my shots and, you know, I stay hot. So, you know, right now it's going great, you know, and hopefully it keeps going like that, you know. But I'm super happy. I'm working hard, and you know, it's been nice.
There are a lot of bodies, so like, and you're very familiar with this. When you get the opportunity, or you get the minutes, you got to make them count.
100%.
What does the mindset have to be, especially if you're going to be, you know, getting that green light to shoot it?
You know, every second you're on that court is a tryout. I say, like, you know, you got to go out there and prove to everybody why you are first of all in the league, why you are on the roster, why do you deserve minutes. It's so much stuff going on, and so many. You know, being in the NBA is probably a blessing, you know, for everybody. Like, it's just something you dreamed of as a kid.
He's not taking it for granted. That's what I'm getting from this.
So you cannot take it lightly. You know, it's the best job in the world. You are in the best organization in the world, and you just want to.
That's true. Some Spurs fans don't believe that, but that's true.
You know, make sure you impress everybody and show how hard you really want it and how hard you work for it. So, you know, to me, you know, I pray every night, and I just make sure like I'm ready for my opportunity when it comes, and that all starts in the gym every morning.
Good job.
The three-point shooting, like if you can make all these trick shots,
Yep.
just an open three must be.
You know, I feel like over the years, game slows down for you as a player. You know, my first year I was super quick. I wanted to make sure like I stay visible. I feel like now it's just kind of like holding more of the space and kind of figuring out where your strengths are.
This is part of why I think Steph Castle is so special, because he's so young, yet it seems like he has already caught up to the speed of the NBA. And he always plays his pace, not too fast, not too slow, but it seems like it throws off defenders every single time. Very SGA-ish. Esque, I mean.
Even like yesterday, I watched the clips when I went home. I watched my minutes, and I turned down like 7 3-point shots, you know. And I feel like as a guy who wants to be a shooter, like you can't do that, you know.
That's a lot of dedication. He is locked in.
I feel like you are not helping your team, because like a lot of times, 4 or 5 times when I turned down a shot, the shot we got was worse shot than I turned it down. So it's kind of like you gotta kind of come in that mindset where like, okay, like coach trusts you enough to tell you every time you're open you gotta shoot it.
Gotta
so
shoot.
You know, hopefully I get more opportunities and kind of, you know, learn more, you know, because I feel like I'm learning every day, and you know.
And that's pretty big, at least in my opinion. Okay. I think that's a pretty big deal for a stretch big to take 6 threes, and for him to say there were 7 more that I could have took, that shows a lot of confidence, and yeah, that shows that he genuinely can be a real weapon. Because I think 6 is a lot, right, for a stretch big. That's a lot in and of itself. So he's basically like, look, I could put up 13. That's crazy.
So it's just like learning process for me as well.
On the rebounding side, you had to steal 1 rebound back away from Castle last night.
Yes.
You got 2. How are you feeling about that?
You know, rebounding is something I pride myself on. I feel like before, like every time the ball goes out, I just want to get the offensive rebound. And just being at the 5 is a little harder now, because you have to guard probably somebody who's taller than you and maybe a little physical than you. So you just got to make sure you box out. And then when I look back, the ball is already rebounded. So even though it's not great, I feel like you got to do your job. And even if you box out and your man doesn't get a rebound, that's already a kind of.
This is why I'm like a little worried about Malachi, right? I don't know if they're going to give him that extension. The only way that they possibly give him that extension, that 4th-year extension, is if, honest, I know this is going to sound harsh, but if they're planning to trade him. I mean, I don't really know what other reason. You don't really have much use there. And it's not his fault necessarily, because I think that him as a player, he was always better like as a pick and roll, you know, mid-range maestro type player, 3-level scorer to some degree, right? Like I always thought that that's what he is, and the Spurs have said, no, we need you to be a spot-up shooter, and he is not a spot-up 3-point shooter. Not bad at it, but you could get something better for what you're asking him to do. Not a great defender, but what he said right here where Mamu's like, hey, you got to box out your guy regardless if you get it or not. I feel like too many times when Malachi was on the court, he just didn't do it, man. Like, you got to be a little physical, you know. You got to be a little physical. He's to the point where last game, Spurs just didn't play him at all. So we'll see what happens against the Heat, but, man.
Like a good thing to do. So, you know, as a team player, you got to sacrifice sometimes, but every time I get a chance, I want to grab it. So when I saw Ian Castle there, I said, that's mine. You're not getting this. So, you know, I'll just try to get as much rebounds as I can and just, you know.
I don't remember this, by the way.
Stay solid.
Pop told us before the game last night that one thing that's maybe different about his coaching this year is he's going to be a little less tolerant with the same mistakes over and over. Are you noticing that so far?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, because Wemby said that. So let's see. Did you see any difference?
I feel like he was always like that, you know. But he's a teacher. He's an amazing person. So I feel like at the end of the day, he wants to teach you something. And I don't think it's the right way to punish somebody for making a mistake, you know. And he understands that. Like, I feel like he has a lot of young guys who are so motivated to learn and want to be here. So, you know, I feel like, yeah, of course, at some point, you know, you gotta tell them, like, okay, you keep messing up, and you know, like I tell my dogs, you keep messing up, you go in the crate, you stay there for 5 seconds, then you come out. But you know, it's just something you gotta learn. And I feel like, you know, there were learning processes, and now you gotta execute. And when you don't execute, that's when I understand when you kind of punish him. But you know, I feel like the teaching wise,
it really speaks to the type of person that Popovich is. Because a lot of times when people get older, they lose a lot of patience. But it seems like over time, Pop has just gained more and more patience. So I don't know. It just kind of speaks to the type of teacher he is, the type of person he is, that he's been able to maintain that patience, but also, you know, with all his accomplishments that he's had, you know, coach of the year, winning championships, that he can still, you know, have the humility to say, hey, I'm okay with coaching guys that don't really understand how to win yet. It speaks a lot, I think. I mean, he could have easily, well, the Spurs are his baby, okay, but I mean, it's not gonna be that easy. I guess it wouldn't be easily, but he could have went somewhere else. If he left the Spurs right now, there will be teams. Every team, I really do mean this. Every team, maybe except the Heat, will be willing to drop their coach for Popovich to go there. I believe that undoubtedly that all teams would do that, minus the Miami Heat. I feel like they're the only ones where they would be like, no, we're gonna hold on to Spoelstra. We're not gonna do Spoelstra like that. But yeah,
they teach us so good. Like there will always be mistakes, but there should be less mistakes. And I feel like we're kind of growing and building on.
When's the last time Pop put you in the crate?
You know, I try to stay out of his side a little bit. You know, make sure. But you know, sometimes he tells me what I gotta do, kind of move better defensively, maybe be at the spot more and stuff like that. But you know, I try to be a good boy, stay out of the crate, because I hate putting my dogs in the crate. So. You know.
Pop loves Mamu, okay? I guarantee you Pop does not have to get onto him too often. Very high basketball IQ, plays the right way. Then he barely has to get onto him, I'm sure. All right, that was nice, man. That was nice. Like I said, I really do like Mamu a lot. He's one of the very few players on the team I don't genuinely have any gripes about. Like if we look at the team right now, who do I even complain about? I mean, there's not many players I have to really complain about. You know, Zach Collins, that worries me a little bit, but you know, coming off the shoulder injury, maybe that's what that is. You know, I don't really have to get on a Sohan too much. You know, maybe what was that? Anyways, you know, sometimes Sohan might be a little inconsistent from shooting sometimes, but I think he's been pretty great in what they need him to do. But yeah, Keldon Johnson, you guys know I get onto him quite often about certain things, or at least, you know, that's how I feel about it. But I don't know, Mamu's just one of those where I just don't have to say anything, man. I mean, he plays the right way every single time, and you know, he's gonna have his limitations, right? Like he even kind of mentioned it, that Pop said you need to play better defense, or move better defensively. But like he's going to be limited there. He's not going to be the best defender in the world. We're not going to be able to lean on him in that regard at all. But overall, he does a really good job, and everything he possibly can. I think he maximizes his frame. He maximizes who he is as a player. night in and night out. You're getting the best version of Mamu every single time. I never see him play and I think, oh man, if you put a little effort there, oh, if you did this, but not really. I think you're getting the best you can get out of him. And that's good. That's good, right? It's good. And it's not just him. It bleeds over to other players as well, and it inspires other players to work hard. So just overall, I really like Mamu, man. And yeah, I think fans have a right and a reason to be hype about him, because every single time I go live, people are talking about how great Mamu is, and I agree. He's good. Anyways, I'll give it to you guys later. Till next time. Bye.